everyone. I'm David Cook from Racing Prodigy. We've been asked why we created the Prodigy Racing League, which is the world's first E-to-Real motorsports league. Someone told me that racing doesn't need another series, but we don't agree. It needs one more, and it needs it now. Racing needs a series that's open to everyone, regardless of one's bank account or connections. A series where driving skill is the only differentiator. So why is the world's first E-to-Real motorsports league the solution to the access problem? Well, advancements in gaming and simulation software have helped prove that the skill sets from racing games translate to real race cars. Nissan demonstrated this several years ago. Mazda was next, when I proudly oversaw its shootout competitions in which sim racers competed against real-world racers for a professional contract. And when iRacing's Glenn McGee won one of the competitions, it reinforced that gaming can help solve the access challenges. Only about 1 million people race in real life, and there are more than 3 billion gamers. Some of the fans and some of the gamers who watch professional racing on screen must have more born with talent than those they're watching, but have never gotten the opportunity to race themselves. And we know that when sports, talent, and opportunity meet, this is how you discover prodigies. And this is why we partnered with several game publishers, with more on the way. And why companies are teaming up with us to provide opportunity to those deserving. Why thousands, and we anticipate millions, will enter our sim racing tournaments over time, and even more will watch our PRL, sim racing, and real-world racing competitions. Revolutionizing motorsports will require exceptional people and a courageous team. We've assembled a group with experience specifically for this E-to-Real league. Our team has previously supported Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, the NFL, NBA, gaming, as well as E-to-Real competitions. Our mission is to reinvent and open motorsports through gaming competitions, discover and develop talent, and provide sustainable, real-world racing careers for those who shine. It's past time that everyone has the opportunity to enjoy the thrill of racing. This is why we created the Prodigy Racing League.
The day has come to hand out the third Prodigy Pass. Today from Okayama, we once again break out the Formula Ford 1600 with 20 drivers set to do battle for 35 minutes on the line. Hello everyone, welcome back to RaceSpot TV, to the iRacing Esports Network, and to Racing Prodigy's YouTube. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, delighted to be joined alongside by Joey Tevin once more. Joey, yesterday 40 entered our semi-finals. We whittled it down to the fastest 20. Now 35 minutes on the line.
It's a clash of the Titans tonight. We had two dominant drivers yesterday. Henry Moore, only on iRacing for a few months, proving to be a talented driver to watch out in the future. He was dominant. Jordan Kelly won in race 2. Now both of them find each other in the head of the field with 18 more drivers who want to take down those two dominant drivers from yesterday. It's bound to be exciting.
We've added a couple of extra minutes into the racing compared to yesterday, means that we'll maybe see it settle in a bit more in the middle, but of course we're very excited about where we're going to go. This has been the journey, though. It started on July the 24th, the third of the Prodigy Racing League tournament. It was the time attack qualifier that anyone could enter Formula Ford 1600 at Okayama. The top 40 drivers all progressing to the semi-finals, where yesterday we saw plenty of action. Today the prize is on the line. Our winner not just walking away with the Prodigy Pass, but also with a SimLab X1 Pro Sim Racing cockpit. Second place doesn't get that chance, maybe, to go to the Atlanta Motorsports Park later this year. However, they will still win a Aztec direct drive wheelbase, 18 Newton meters of torque, and the quick release adapter kit to go with it. Third place, not going to be left with nothing either. Grid Engineering Porsche 911 GT3 Cup dashboard display unit. And even if you do not win the Prodigy Pass, there are other opportunities to be selected by the Prodigy Search Committee. As we run down through those wonderful prizes, let's thank the sponsors that make all of that possible, starting with SimLab and Grid Engineering. Right now, you can order their exceptional products for sim racers seeking the utmost quality. SimLab's P1X Sim Racing cockpit has become the gold standard in the industry. Grid by SimLab has a premium line of official Porsche licensed products available for you. As well, we've got Aztec SimSport supporting us. Asetek provides, of course, the Invicta quick release adapter that maximizes wheel options available with their wheelbases. It provides hassle-free connectivity between the wheel and wheelbase, providing integrated power and data. Thank you to them for their support of the Prodigy Racing League and of Racing Prodigy. They are getting themselves formed up manually. The grid for today was set yesterday based on the fastest laps and the finishing positions. We'll have a quick run through. Henry Moore and Jordan Kelly, of course, won their respective semi-finals. Henry Moore with the fastest lap. He will start and bring us to the green. Kane Halliburton and Tamas Shimon on the second row. Sam Koita and Jason Smith behind them to round out the front six. Tom Katsudonis and Ciro Samba 7th and 8th positions, with Matt Caruana and Ross Banfield making up the rest of your top 10. Making our way then to those that were in the bubble effectively yesterday and now can work their way forward and look forward. Felipe Loyola will be alongside with Marcello Panicha, Ewan Baker, Bob Beekman, Stephen Diem, Samuel Smith, Michael Romanidis, Thomas O'Regan, Dino Filippa, and then Jeffrey Lund make up the 20 cars that will do battle. Talk about the names in a couple of moments' time. Let's talk about the faces, because as they rumble and get themselves set up, Joey, as ever, we get the chance to look on board with our field of drivers.
That is what it's one of the many things we love about this Prodigy Racing League. We get to see every single one of the drivers, all of their reactions. You get a beautiful grid of all 20 drivers there. See Henry Moore with the closest face cam in the field. We'll be seeing a lot of him from the lead of the race. Michael Romanidis next to him. That's one of those drivers who will be coming from the back after a solid day yesterday. Every single driver in the field. We're going to see the disappointment and the elation.
We see a nice little mix as well of virtual reality and not. Jordan Kelly seesawing the wheel in the top right in VR, won his semi-final. We always love this variation, and that's where it all comes into play. One thing that I am seeing, though, is tire warming aplenty.
You've got to do a lot of tire warming. These tires are so thick and hard, basically. They're not like your average open wheel car. These tires are designed to last for a very long time. They're designed to last for multiple races. You don't have to buy multiple sets in the lowest levels of racing. So they are very, very little in terms of wear, and they are very, very hard to heat up. So these extra pace laps we have to set the grid are actually a pretty good thing for these drivers, because they get a little bit of extra time, like Jordan Kelly, to go hula and then seesaw the wheel and get some extra heat in the tires.
What did you learn yesterday, Joey, in the semi-finals? What do you think some of the drivers learned as well from the type of racing that we saw?
You can't afford to really wait. We saw a couple of drivers in the semifinals yesterday kind of hang back in second, especially in the first heat. Kane Halliburton was running in second behind Henry Moore, was about a tenth or two behind every single lap. And then when the time came with a couple minutes left in the race to go for the move for the win, he couldn't make it stick. It didn't happen. So I think everybody in the field has learned from that today. You have to make the moves when you can, because you don't know, if you wait too long, that opportunity might go away and you might not actually get the chance to win that Prodigy Pass at the end of this.
And a reminder, this is the third of the Prodigy Racing League tournaments. The first a month ago here on iRacing in the GR86. Gustavo Ariel, our winner. I talked to him. He was very excited about that. We also had our tournament, the PRL SK Racing Mobile Tournament that concluded at the end of July. Lawrence Bertins of Belgium is going to be joining Gustavo in Atlanta, October 30th through November 1st. That is 78 days away as drivers get a all-expense-paid trip to the Atlanta Motorsports Park to compete in a Radical SR1. They will be tested in their fitness by PitFit, and they'll have psychologists judging them, evaluating them, as we try and determine who is going to get selected in the Prodigy draft. I think we still got one more lap under the pace car because the lights are still on. And so, Joey, let's start talking about predictions, expectations. I'm hoping people in chat will get involved with us here as well, hopefully watching with us on Racing Prodigy YouTube. Who do you think comes out on top?
Well, that's basically an impossible choice with this field, but you have to say the pole sitter is the favorite. Henry Moore looked absolutely dominant yesterday. One of the youngest drivers in the field. Technically one of the drivers in the field with the least amount of iRacing experience. But the fact that he's had such a quick rise up through the ladder, the fact that he is so fast right now, I imagine this is only the start of us seeing Henry Moore in many, many more events here on at the top level of sim racing. And I think we'll see him more in the future. But you have to look at Kane Halliburton in third as well, kind of ruining his mischance yesterday. Can't count out Jordan Kelly on the front row either, even though he was a little bit weaker in practice than I would expect. I think the winner might come from the top three, but if they all come to blows, you never know.
If you're watching on and you're excited and think you may want to have a crack at this, we will have potentially more Prodigy Racing League tournaments on iRacing coming up, but we will have tournaments coming up on Race Room already. You can go on to racingprodigy.com to get signed up and get yourself set. Field's going to get focused up. Pace car's going to pull off and away. Henry Moore going to be in control of the field. I mean, I'm excited, Joey. How many laps before we see a bit of a breakaway? I think that's the question I've got for you.
I mean, if I had to base that on yesterday, I would say about 2 or 3, because the fighting's going to start very, very early, but hopefully we get a solid pack up front. We already see them trying to go 3 wide in the pace lap. Not ideal up front. They'll get it back in line, and I think we'll have a solid pack for a couple of laps at least.
Remember, they are ordered in terms of results out of the semi-finals. Their performance yesterday delivered them their potential best opportunity to come out on top today at Okayama in the 3rd of the Prodigy Racing League tournament as we get ready to hand out another Prodigy pass. It's a great jump from Henry Moore, and look at the defense being thrown as we head off into turn number 1. It's 3 wide for second. Kane Halliburton gets out of it and tries to cut back up and under. Jason Smith and Jordan Kelly to his left-hand side, and as we shortcut through turn number 2, some contact. Henry Moore breaking away at the front of the field.
Jason Smith getting aggressive just like he did yesterday. Remember in semifinal number 2, he went for a huge dive into the hairpin, potentially caused a little bit of contact. Same aggression here today as he goes from 4th to 2nd on lap number 1, but there's already a full second up to Henry Moore.
Is he going to be able to take this advantage and run away, or are those behind going to start to work together? Sam Coitet jumps in front of Jordan Kelly, behind Caruana Zambra, all fighting inside of the top 10. Stephen Diem down in 19th has lost a bunch of time. Tamas Shimon is down on pit road, so there has been drama on this opening lap of the race, but 1 lap in the books of an estimated 39, and look at the field heading off into the opening corner once again.
And that's not an unassailable gap up to Henry Moore. 1 second is out of draft range in these cars, but if you get that little bit closer, get within 8 tenths, 7 tenths, you will be back within draft range. So all of these drivers in the top 5, Smith, Halliburton, Coitert, and Jordan Kelly, they all basically need to run 1 by 1 right now and hope that Jason Smith can catch Henry Moore, because if they go side by side for second and third here, they're going to lose Henry guaranteed. So they have to be conservative right now. They have to ride in line and hope that Jason Smith can lead this train back into the draft.
On board with Sam Coitert. We saw last time in our first iRacing tournament with Coitert's teammate Dominic Hoffman that he had sun coming into his eyes as the course of the race went on. Coitert solved that by having the window behind him. That does risk having a bit of glare on your monitors. He's got the blackout curtains to solve that. But the thing that we always note when we look at these drivers, Joey, is how cool, calm, and collected they always are.
Exactly. Sam Coitert's basically doing the unbothered emoji right now with his facial expression. So he is not feeling the pressure right now. He knows he's got the speed to win this race. If he can catch back up to Jason Smith, I think he'll start worrying a little bit more in about 30 minutes. I think he's good for now. You see the second train here led by Matt Caruana. He was one of the most aggressive drivers in semifinal number 1, made up a ton of spots, had some fantastic passes, and right now he's kind of in the job of basically doing what Jason Smith is, and closing the gap down to Jordan Kelly and making a 4-car train into about a 15-car train all the way to the back.
We're right on board with Tom Katsadonis, who's at least made his bed behind him. He's also got a fan over his shoulder to make sure he's got maximum airflow. Again, Katsadonis, one of the contingent from Australia, which, depending on which coast you're on, is either 1 o'clock in the morning or going on 4 o'clock in the morning. So it's either an early wake-up call or a late night. Maybe we'll get to chat with Tom after this one and figure it out, but he's going to be a little concerned. Caruana now in 6th, yes, but has got some work to do to close up to those in front.
Yeah, either way, Katsadonis is going to be either getting up from that bed or going back to that bed in the near future, so it's good to be within proximity of it. But right now, same thing as we see all throughout the field. This is kind of what I expected to see early on. A lot of drivers just riding in line, making sure they have a shot here, because they saw what happened yesterday. They saw what battling can do for multiple laps. It loses you time to the drivers in front. It gets you out of basically any chance of victory. So everybody driving a little bit smarter, a little bit more strategic today, because they know there are those prizes on the line. It's not just about advancing anymore. The advancement's been done. It's all about prizes.
In terms of repeat finalists, by the way, we have 3 of them: Coiter, Jeffrey Lund, and Ross Banfield. Everyone else making a final for the first time. There's some battling going on slightly further back. Jason Smith and Kane Halliburton just continuing to ride in line as they continue to try and chase down Henry Moore at the front of the field. But I think what we have kind of seen, Michael Romanidis being a case in point, he struggled in the GR86, got out in the semi-final, switched over to this Formula 4, maybe suits his driving style a little bit more, and so we're seeing a bit of a change in the running order.
Yeah, Romanidis is kind of a tale of what might have been, because if you remember back to semifinal 2 yesterday, he and Dino Filippo were fighting for the win with eventual winner Jordan Kelly. They just made a little bit of contact on the final lap, got those wheels interlocked, still finished in the top 10, but lost a ton of time and put themselves at the back of the grid for today. So it's going to be a little bit too much to ask for them to get up to the front. As you see a little bit further back, I think that was Ciro Zambra getting off in the gravel, getting very sideways. But a lot of drivers deeper in the field than they should be. Look at Dino Filippo to move his way forward.
And I think that's what they're maybe going to learn if they come back for the next iRacing tournament is, you know, how do we work from there? Also, all of these considerations will come into play when the Prodigy search committee comes together. We'll have 2 judges, a sim racing influencer and a real world professional driver working together to find our way through those not selected, well, not a recipient of a Prodigy pass courtesy of winning, but at least we're able to compete and be within the top 500 in our time attack qualifiers. The gap's come down to about 0.8 of a second, and as noted in our Racing Prodigy YouTube chat, by Jack Harrison, who raced in the semi-finals yesterday, draft is worth about 1/10.5 a lap, which means if Jason Smith and Kane Halliburton work together, which Halliburton did yesterday with Moore in the semi-final, they will eventually close up to the back of the 41.
They've done a very good job of doing exactly that. Henry Moore is very strong through the first sector. That's where he's been pulling away the absolute most through this double apex right-hander and through the flat-out left-hander for that matter. He's just able to carry so much speed, but it doesn't really matter when Jason Smith was right on the precipice of the draft. He's been closing and closing and closing, and now that he's within 0.6 of a second, there is no escaping the draft for Henry Moore. He is going to be caught by those 3 behind, and we're going to have a 4-car battle here soon. The gap is closed enough. It's guaranteed, unless Jason Smith makes a little bit of a bobble.
Tamas Shimon, by the way, just got confirmation. Internet troubles for him, so no actual on-track trouble, which I guess is better in some ways, but he doesn't get the chance to show what he is capable of, representing Veloce. Has got a podium in the iRacing World Championships, and the Force Dynamics Dallara Grand Prix Series is going to make his return to that championship as it returns under a new name, the Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing Series. That's a bit of a mouthful. Here comes the battle for 5th, though. Caruana and Kelly side by side. Caruana is going to be up the inside. Jordan Kelly down to 6th.
Matt Caruana has been the one driver highlight reel of this event so far. So many overtakes, so many aggressive moves, and that was a pretty savvy move. Didn't get held up at all, wasn't side by side for any longer than he needed to be. I think he's determined, I'm the fastest driver of this train right now. Riding behind Jordan Kelly is actually losing us more time than it's gaining us. So Matt Caruana says, you know what, I'm going to lead this train. I'm going to try and close that gap up to Sam Coitert, and I'm going to try and make that 4-car battle up front into a 6-car battle with all of us. He's got a lot of work to go to catch up there. 2 seconds up to Sam Coitert.
It's within half a second now at the front, so little by little, they are chipping away. Now, 28 minutes to go. Tire wear, I don't think necessarily such a consideration. The main issue is just that if you fight too hard, you bring yourself out of the mix. Look at that gap between 4th and 5th. You can visually just see how large it is. There is a second gap now between 10th and 11th positions. Marcello Penicia and then Peter Beekman, not Bob Beekman. He's racing under his father's name. Dino Filippo, that's the 3rd grouping that we have there. Realistically, with the extra 10 minutes added to this race, though, Joey, we should not expect at the front for there to be too much fighting until maybe the final 10 minutes of the race.
You would think that, and that's something that every driver up front is considering right now, because they see that 2-second gap back to Matt Caruana, and they're thinking, we don't want to make it a 10-car battle right now. We want it to just be the 4 of us in contention for victory. That increases all of their odds of winning. And that's why I assume they're not going to decide to race each other too hard until, like you say, about maybe 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go. They're going to race each other pretty hard for 5th, though. Jordan Kelly not content to ride in line. He gets back on Matt Caruana, interlocking wheels on the exit of turn 1. Into turn 2, he's got the inside. That's the optimal line, but Caruana's fantastic on the outside. A little bit of contact means he has to give it up.
And Caruana ends up losing out as well to Tom Katsudonis. The problem with, well, I say problem, the difference between the GR86 and the Formula Ford is you can't have as much contact. And now Caruana runs zero. Sambra just that little bit wide, but as they switch back through the second hairpin, final sector, the 78 of Sambra up the inside, and with contact with Caruana, back into the path of oncoming traffic, but they'll all dodge. It's Sambra to the back of the field.
That's why I always mention the interlocking wheels in these cars. They don't have bumpers. They have wheels sticking out on sticks of suspension. And if you make a little bit of contact with the car to your outside or your inside, you're getting turned. There's no getting away with suspension to suspension contact. It's like you're sticking a crowbar into the car next to you. And unfortunately, Ciro Zambra out of the race very, very early.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. He joins Tamas Shimon in pit lane, and now we'll be watching on for the next 25-odd minutes. Henry Moore now still leading the breakaway at the front. The four-car train, Jordan Kelly finds himself now almost 3 seconds adrift as that second gaggle just continues to lose ground in this fight to close up. You got Sam Smith, Thomas O'Regan, 15th and 16th fighting as well. So much going on in the mid-pack. All it does, though, is cost them time as they run pretty single file. The other thing about that contact that, well, get back to that. Here's a look at the replay and what happens on corner exit.
Zambra on the inside, Caruana on the outside. Caruana didn't give whoever that was to his outside room earlier, and Ciro Zambra kind of ends up repaying the favor. But again, just interlocking wheels, you need to leave that little bit of extra room, because if you make wheel-to-wheel contact, suspension-to-suspension contact, there's no getting away with it, and both of them down the order. Caruana still struggling after that as well.
Maybe now just trying to cool the tires down just a little bit. What I was going to say before we grabbed a look at the replay was that the difference with the contact and lack thereof means while we saw some drivers flirting with the incident limit, which in iRacing means you rack up incident points by going off the track and making contact with others, there's less contact with these cars, less drivers getting close to the limit.
It's self-punishing, and this is a self-punishing track here at Okayama. If we were seeing this race at Spa or the Red Bull Ring or another Grade 1 track here on iRacing, you would probably be racking up a few more incident points trying to carry as much speed. But everywhere around this place, it's either grass or gravel that you have to go into to start reaching the incident limit. Everywhere else is self-punishing, and if you make a little bit of contact, get those 4 incident points, it's likely going to be the only piece of contact you're going to make for the entire race. So hasn't been something to think about here, but maybe once the next event rolls around, depends on the car, depends on the track, we could very well be thinking about that as a limit in the 35-minute race.
Here's Peter Beekman. You can see the debris being chucked up to the visor and the lack of visibility that sometimes you have. The drivers have the ability to use a tear-off. We don't see when they've used the tear-off. We just get the accumulation. That is not Bob Beekman again. It's Peter Beekman racing under his father's name. It's his first actual serious sim racing event. He's not really done anything outside of an iRacing official competition, and well, he's right behind Dino Filippa, who's currently trying to qualify for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. A little bit of a different level of experience, but you can see that speed and talent make up for a lot.
And that's one of the fantastic things about this Prodigy Racing League. It's not just about that E2 reel pipeline. Jordan Kelly's around in turn 1, distracting me from that. I don't know if there was contact with Katsudonis or what, but the winner of race 2 yesterday to the back.
And he's raced a Formula Ford in the real world. We'll have to see what happened, if that was a mistake, just pushing too hard, or if there was contact potentially. It means Katsudonis is now up to 5th, but that second group, the peloton trying to chase down the leaders, 5 seconds back. Here's a look at the replay, and there's a send from Katsudonis, and Jordan Kelly gets turfed.
Not ideal whatsoever there. Sending a dive into turn 1 is so difficult because you are already as late in the brakes as humanly possible. If you're trying to be even later than somebody else on the brakes, it's very dangerous, and you have to be fully alongside. Didn't quite work out, so Jordan Kelly joins the used car lot, one of the favorites for the win. Maybe that opens the door for somebody else to compete for this win with Henry Moore. Looks more and more likely like it's only going to be these front 4, though, as Katsudonis with that contact is now 5 seconds back from 4th place Sam Coiter.
And Ken Halliburton, as we jump on board with him, once again just looking cool, calm, collected. When it comes to expectations in chat, I saw plenty of support for Henry Moore. Toby Moore says Henry's got it in the bag. I'm sure there's no bias there, but I would not be feeling comfortable by any means. If the draft's worth, what, a 10th and a half a lap, really, you've only got one real passing opportunity. That's setting something up into either turn 1 or using turn 1 as a ramp into turn 2.
Yeah, to quote Ralph Wiggum, I think Henry Moore is going to be saying, "I'm in danger." He's not in a very safe position right now. Jason Smith behind him especially, he's been the most aggressive driver in his semifinal, in this final. Went from 5th to 2nd on lap 1, Devlin DiFrancesco style. He's going to go for a dive if he gets a chance. And Henry Moore is going to be waiting for that and hoping that it doesn't end in contact.
It hopefully doesn't end like it did for Devlin DiFrancesco yesterday, where he dropped to the very back of the field. And
well, at least he
one
can't finish 20th today. He can only finish 19th.
True. Well, technically, I think 18th right now with Zero Zambra still in pit lane. Yes. Well, that was a very good Ralph Wiggum impression, by the way. Surprised me there.
Of course. I've watched like 5 total Simpsons episodes since I was 5 years old. It's good experience.
The one thing that I do agree with a point just made in our Racing Prodigy chat, Kane Halliburton was very calm yesterday. When it comes time to get aggressive, is he going to feel comfortable knowing what he needs to do to make moves happen?
I mean, with the amount of experience Kane Halliburton has in all forms of sim racing competition, I think he's definitely going to be able to learn from yesterday's race and change his mindset and potentially get more aggressive if he needs to today. But as of right now, I think he's basically in the same mindset he was yesterday. Ride in line here, ride behind Jason Smith, let him do the chasing, maybe let him go for a move in a couple minutes' time and open up the door. And then once we get into those final couple of minutes of the race, the final critical laps, I think, or I hope, we'll see a new Kane Halliburton who is a little bit more aggressive than yesterday. Because another thing he may have been thinking yesterday is, you know, starting on the second row isn't too bad. It would be great to win. It would be great to start in the front row, but I'm advancing to the final anyway. Now he doesn't have that same thing to think about. He is in the final. It's all about the prizes. It's all about that win. He can't afford to hang back.
And just a reminder as well that you can follow Racing Prodigy on social media to make sure you're connected with all the latest news around all the different tournaments that we have. We've got our tournament on Race Room coming up, racingprodigy.com to sign up and to get yourself part of that. Racing Prodigy is aligned with the sim racing community and trying to provide opportunities in real-world racing for those deserving and to make them sustainable as well. And the Prodigy Racing League was created to discover the prodigies and develop talent globally through esports competitions. And look at the closeness of racing that we've got up towards the front of the field. Kane Halliburton and Sam Coitert, World Championship caliber and experience level drivers. Henry Moore and Jason Smith maybe a little bit more unknown in terms of iRacing pedigree, but they have shown without a shadow of a doubt just how quick they are. And Kane Halliburton feels the need to go defensive into turn number 1.
Very interesting. He sees Sam Coitert behind him, the Urano esports driver, thinking, maybe Sam might decide to go for a move here. We're all packed up here. He probably could afford to go for third if he really wanted to and not lose too much, but I don't think Sam was actually going for a full attempt at a move there. I think he's still going to wait a little bit longer. We also did hear from Toby Moore in the YouTube chat, says not related to Henry Moore, but if he does win today, I think he's going to be wishing he was, because he might get a free trip to Atlanta out of that. So it might be time for some identity theft, Toby.
Maybe it's still biased there, though, just with the Moores. Yes, it's just like Joey. I assume that whenever you see another Joey, you just naturally get affiliated. I can't know that because there aren't many Arjunas, it turns out. There's many Arjuns, but not many Arjunas.
We'll find some more for you. We'll find the Arjuna Club. There's not many Tevins, though. Just like there's not many Kankapatis, I assume. There's not many Tevins. There's a farm equipment manufacturer in Kansas that's Tevin, but other than that, I'm out of luck.
No, there are plenty of Kankapatis. There's just not many Arjuna Kankapatis, fortunately. Which makes, well, I say fortunately, if you go search me on Google, it makes it very easy to go figure out who I am. We get this wonderful look at both our drivers in third and fourth positions. Of course, Henry Moore very close to his webcam. These drivers giving us a little bit more context as to what goes on in the background. 17 minutes to go. Still haven't seen a fight start to build. And last time by, Tom Katsudonis was almost a full 10th quicker than our race leader.
I mean, that's good to be faster. A 5-second gap, though, is not going to be ideal for him. And that's just come as a result of basically everything that's happened in this cloud of drivers early on. You saw Caruana going for dives, contact with Ciro Zambra, Jordan Kelly spinning with contact from Katsudonis. There's been all sorts of drama for 5th place here. And they need to make sure there's no more drama to the end of the race, because A 4.5 second gap up to Sam Coulthard isn't insurmountable, and exactly what's happening up here needs to happen. They need to go side by side, slow each other down, and Jason Smith's done exactly that.
Henry Moore has been struggling the last couple of laps through turns 2 and 3, and now maybe even will get shuffled back to third. Kane Halliburton is not going to be able to take advantage, but a new race leader for the first time after 20 complete laps of racing. Did Henry Moore maybe do a bit too much with his tires, running at the front and trying to break away? Jason Smith now tries to take advantage. Smith on the left as we look at the webcams, Henry Moore on the right.
You can see Jason Smith's wheel there on the left. He is muscling this car around, throwing it into the corners, almost leaning go-kart style, as if that's going to help him. Kind of a mindset thing there. But Jason Smith takes over the lead. You do see, though, that with that one little bit of side-by-side for the lead, with that one small battle for half a lap, that's made them half a second slower than Tom Katsadonis. If that happens again, Katsadonis and on back from 5th, they're not going to be out of this race win battle, potentially.
There is so much excitement, I think, to come at the end of this one. The thing to watch as well is some of the different lines that were taken. Henry Moore through 2 and 3, that shortcut that leads us back towards this section, was running a bit wider and cutting back in. I was wondering if that was because of tires, if it was giving him a better run. That's what I mean, by the way, at Henry Moore. When we look at his webcam, if we throw up that side-by-side label, don't actually get to see all of his face, but we can see the focus on the eyes, and something similar to what drivers often do in the real world. He's not blinking very much.
Now that you point that out, you're right. I haven't seen him blink once, and
he's blinked about 3 times now. Sorry.
Has he?
Yes.
Maybe I looked away at the exact moments of blinks. He's timing his blinks like a racing driver in the most opportune moments.
Yeah, it's always interesting just to track how drivers also focus their eyes, because was it Kevin Magnussen? They put a driver's eye thing on him, and then they actually watched where his pupils were going, and you could always see he wasn't looking at the corner he was in right there. He was looking at the next corner, making sure he was getting set up appropriately. It's something that you will see from these drivers as well. It's why so often they will have ultra wides or triple screens. It's not to say that you can't do it with the single monitors, Joey, or a G25 like Hugo Luis, our producer, did back in the day in the iRacing World Championships.
Gotta do well with what you have. But I think a lot of us are probably going to be thinking about upgrading if we do have some older sim racing equipment. But that's where Assetech comes in. Maybe I'll have to hop down to the online store, and I'll finally get rid of this 4-year-old sim racing equipment that's been caked in dust and upgrade a little.
You can go to Micro Center, Joey, and get some SimLab stuff now, too.
I could do that, too. There's so many options.
Yeah, Tony Kanaan has made sure there is plenty to buy at Micro Center if you're a sim racing fan.
I'm going to write it off on the Race Spot company card.
Oh, can I do that, too? That would be a fun little excursion. I haven't been told in my ear no yet, so I'm going to assume that's a yes. We are now, within the final 15 minutes and still yet to see the challenge, but Matt Caruana in front of Tom Katsadonis, now within 4 seconds of the leaders. Are they going to be able to close? Is there enough time for them to A, close the gap, and then B, actually make a pass?
I mean, it depends on how much more fighting goes on. Henry Moore, Kane Halliburton, you see them in the head of your screen fanning out down the front straight all over the place. If they go side by side again, they're going to lose a ton more time. But Katsadonis on Caruana, Banfield and Filippa as well. They're focused on battling just as hard here for P5. Kane Halliburton gets by Henry Moore for 3rd. It's all kicking off in both of these battles, and it's kind of evened out. Neither of them gained time or lost time on either one of them.
That's the important thing. If those behind battle more than those in front, they'll lose time. If they battle less, they'll gain time. It's a simple equation, and we can track both of those fights in the final sector as the leaders dance their way into the penultimate corner. Still 3.8 now back to Katsadonis, at least relative to Smith. It's probably only about 2 seconds away from being able to latch onto the draft, and from there, are there going to be opportunities? Kane Halliburton finally starting to get aggressive and now chasing Jason Smith into turn 1.
12 minutes to go at the line, about 13 laps to go. Maybe 14 laps, depending on how the calculations go. Either way, Halliburton knows there's not much time left. You're going to have to get aggressive. The moves don't come that often, and you need to make use of any momentum you have. A little bit of a slide through turns 2 and 3 for Jason Smith there. Then through this flat-out left-hander onto the backstretch. Kane Halliburton's got a decent exit. Smith is very, very defensive every time, though. Puts a nose to the inside into the hairpin. Gets a little bit wide and switches it back, but either way, shuts the door on Halliburton still.
It's been about 5 laps since Smith took the lead. How many more laps will he be able to hold on? Gap behind to Caruana, and Katsadonis is holding pretty steady on this lap. They haven't fought too much in either pack just yet. Wonder as well, with the 10 extra minutes, if we are going to be that little bit more concerned when it comes to the aforementioned incident limit and what the drivers can get away with. Jason Smith feels the pressure, defends all the way to the inside. Halliburton will once again potentially try the up and under, but into turn number 2, Smith has it covered.
And Jason Smith basically defending, not on the racetrack, going all the way to the wall. Moore and Coitert side by side for P3. Sam Coitert not able to dump Henry Moore down one more spot there, but he certainly thought about it with a peek to the inside in turn 2. Again, that's lost them time to Tom Katsadonis. Now the gap back to 5th, only about 2.5 seconds. I don't think we can count out any of those guys. If Caruana especially gets a peek of the draft, if Dino Filippa gets a peek of this draft up front, we can't count either of them out for the win. They've been 2 of the most aggressive drivers, and they know how to make passes if they get the chances.
And I think right now aggression might be what you need to win. If it's difficult to pass, you're going to need to be that one the one that's willing to make those lunges. Got a bit of separation now, 1st and 2nd, and then 3rd and 4th. It's a car length or so. Sam Coitert wants to take advantage of that to the inside of Henry Moore, but overcommits himself. Moore back to the inside, and with 500 starts in 2023, almost 200 of them in the Formula Ford alone, Henry Moore tries to rely on the experience of the car, but it's not going to be enough. Coitert grabs 3rd spot.
They were millimeter perfect through turns 2 and 3 there. Very well done, very respectful by Coitert and Moore. That's why they're up front, because they know how to give each other respect and give each other room. But things are getting dicey here. This is the race for the prize, like that Flaming Lips song. Kane Halliburton looking up front. He's as close as he's been. If he can get a good run out of the final corner here, you know Jason Smith's going to be defensive, but how defensive can he be with the run from Halliburton? We're going to see Halliburton to the outside to turn 1 here. This is his best chance yet.
He's going to go to the inside and switch it back. No, he's not going to. He's going to try and send it the long way around. And Kane Halliburton going to potentially run himself out of road. Jason Smith gives him just enough room to slide back into line. And the race leader holds on. But with 10 minutes to go, the gap now down to 3 seconds to Tom Katsadonis.
Oh, Halliburton might have a chance into the hairpin here. This is the closest he's been out of that fast left-hander. He peeks to the inside to the hairpin. Smith turns in, leaves him just enough of a car length on the curb. But again, Halliburton not able to be side-by-side enough, not able to be late in the brakes enough to go for enough of a lunge. But he is throwing everything at Jason Smith right now. This is a whole new Kane Halliburton now that the win's on the line. And it is fantastic to see. He is throwing everything he can at it.
And in a bit of contrast, you do have Henry Moore somewhat struggling at this juncture. Maybe it was just that pushing at the first part of the race, trying to take advantage of the gap that he was given. Halliburton alongside once again and not going to try the same move. He's going to try and be more intelligent, but with Coitert now sliding behind, he's going to be watching in the rearview mirrors. Halliburton able to get some overlap through turn 1. Smith trying to slam the door shut. Contact. Smith goes around, collects Henry Moore. Halliburton and Coitert now fighting for the lead.
Welcome to the race for the lead, Katsadonis and Filippa. But that was so close there, and Kane Halliburton's going to lose the lead to Coitert. He might have a little bit of damage from that contact. Sam Coitert takes over the lead, and Halliburton's trying to hang on. But when we see the replay, you'll see just a little bit of overlap with the wheels again. Not enough room given, really, between the two drivers fighting for the win, and it all comes to blows. And poor old Henry Moore is an innocent bystander there.
And so if we've been talking about tire management so far and making sure that you've got enough come the end of the race, for Katsadonis, Filippa and Caruana, yes, they've been aggressive, but they've also been having to fight their way using the tires. So Sam Coitert and Kane Halliburton have the advantage now with 7 minutes to go, so probably about 8 laps of racing left. Jason Smith's going to have to head down to the pit lane. He's going to be ultra frustrated. Henry Moore going to be pretty down, I would think, as well. But ultimately, for both of them, and I'd include Jordan Kelly in the mix, what we saw yesterday and the pace that we saw from them today, plenty to at least be proud of. You could just see interlocked on the wheels like you've been talking about, Joey, and from there, a bit of a passenger.
There's a little bit of funky contact, but it would have happened either way. I don't necessarily think the spin might have happened without a little bit of odd physics there, but other than that, it was perfectly aligned between the two wheels to make that bad contact for the lead. And again, Henry Moore, like you said, this was a great audition for him. He's only been on iRacing for a couple of months, and he's already found this much speed. I have a feeling we're going to see much, much bigger things from him. If not just in sim racing, if in the real world as well. We'll have another chance at a Prodigy pass in the next event, but I think we'll be seeing him in some iRacing events in the near future.
And maybe the Prodigy search committee will take a peek at him as well. He will head down to the pit lane. Car clearly had taken too much damage as a result of that. It is going to be within 6 minutes to go next time by. Halliburton behind Coiter. These two, maybe the most known names in terms of regular iRacing competitions. Sam Coiter has been part of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup now for 2 years and running, but they've got some very quick drivers behind. Tom Katsadonis has shown his speed, as has Dino Filippa and Matt Caruana. If you're Halliburton, do you ride for a couple of laps and then wait for the final two to go for it, or do you have to go now?
I don't think you can afford to ride. There's not that many laps left to go. You don't get that many chances at going for the lead. If he gets another shot, he is going to go for it, just like he did on Jason Smith. He hasn't been able to close close enough to Sam Coiter. He hasn't been able to get as close as he was to the back of Jason Smith, but a big bobble there from Coiter over the curb. That's going to lose him a bunch of momentum and a bunch of time. That gets Halliburton closer. If he can stick with him through the second hairpin here, Halliburton may have another shot. His favorite move to the outside to turn one.
And it goes to show that even if these cars don't have that much power, they have enough for you to get in trouble if you ask for too much from the tires. Halliburton showing us how much debris would be on the visor if you didn't have tear-offs. Katsadonis within half a second of these top two. At the line, I believe it is now in the final 5 laps as we get ready to hand out our Prodigy Pass. 78 days from today, one of these drivers will be heading to the Atlanta Motorsports Park. The question is, will it be Sam Coiter? Will anyone else be able to break his stranglehold at the front?
I'm sure the search committee is hoping that it's Kane Halliburton. I have a feeling that flight might be a little bit less pricey than Sam Coiter's flight, but either way, Coiter hanging on very, very well here. Halliburton potentially had a chance to send a dive into turn one in the previous lap. Wasn't close enough to really think about it, though. But this time out, similarly close to the back of Coiter, out of the second hairpin. You're flat out through the penultimate corner, coming up right here. This flat-out right-hander. Then into the final corner, little bit of a lift for both drivers, sending it into the grass on the exit is Sam Coiter. And then a flat-out blast down the front stretch. Halliburton's not close enough, but look who's closer. Katsadonis now within half a second of the leader.
Is it going to be the send, or is it all going to be about setting up the move? Halliburton not committing into the opening corner. Behind, they are closing, but not from fourth on back. Filippa still got some work to do. 5 for 10th, let's keep an eye on that as well, because Thomas O'Regan, Ewan Baker, Sam Smith and company have been enjoying their own little fun fight, just not up towards the front, not where our attention has been. More drivers as well that will take plenty of heart into future racing Prodigy events. Big plans as we move into 2024. The goal to have a second Prodigy week with a second set of winners, a second Prodigy draft, and hopefully all building in towards the Real World Series. At the line, I think Sam Coiter looks quite good. I'm worried though if I'm the top two, because Tom Katsadonis is getting closer and he was aggressive yesterday.
Katsadonis is the fastest driver on track right now. Just ran his fastest lap of the race on the previous lap. That tells you that tire wear not really existent in these cars. These tires are designed to last for multiple races. And Katsadonis is just wearing out the fuel. The car is getting lighter and lighter, and he is getting faster and faster and even more aggressive. Now that he's within touching distance of those two in front, he can see the lead. It's only 2 cars away. His expression hasn't changed. He's in the zone, but he is getting closer and closer and closer, and it's only a matter of time until he's finally able to make that first dive.
Do you think being awake at either 1 or 4 o'clock in the morning, depending on where in Australia he is a benefit? Is it channeling his energy right now? Is he like, let me get out of this race as quickly as possible so I can go back to sleep?
I mean, I think right now he's probably not thinking about sleep right now. He might not be able to go to sleep after this, but if you are a sim racer in Australia, I have a feeling you're probably used to this. We'll have to talk to a couple more of them to know what the mindset is, but he might be nocturnal at this point preparing for this event. You never know.
I believe he is somewhere near Adelaide. He's also representing ATRS Esports. Nothing a good Google search cannot provide you sometimes. Halliburton, Coitert still in front though, and they're getting ready to tick on to the final lap of the race. You've got 4 cars within a second, but it feels like Sam Coitert's in control.
He definitely does feel like he's in control. He's done a fantastic job of managing the gap back to Kane Halliburton. It's stayed at about 2/10. There's been no bobbles. There's been no mistakes out of Coitert. Right as I say that, a little bit wide through the second hairpin, up over the top of the hill. And again, this is the closest Halliburton has been. He's going to get within 1/10.5 into the penultimate corner and through the final corner of the lap. This is the closest he's been. It's a fantastic run into the front straight. He's going to have a shot into turn 1 here to get the white flag.
Are we getting the white flag, though? Because I didn't see it in Barney's hand. Into turn 1, Halliburton commits. He feels like he's got to go now. Katsadonis watches on and maybe tries to find a chance. Coitert's got the inside, should be able to hold as they funnel through the shortcut. But clearly the impetus is there to make the move.
And it is not the white flag. There was a race against the clock there, so we will get 1 extra lap. Kane Halliburton will get 1 more chance. Katsadonis backs out of it there. Smartly, thinking about the potential for the win. Doesn't go for the move on Halliburton. He knows Halliburton will have another chance at Coitert. Katsadonis hangs back in 3rd and kind of lets Katsadonis go for 1 more chance at Coitert here.
1 more lap to settle it all, and it comes down to this. It could go any direction. How aggressive can Kane Halliburton be? It's going to be the checkered flag. Oh my goodness gracious. Sam Coitert has held on. He becomes the next winner of the Prodigy Pass. 78 days from today, he'll be at the Atlanta Motorsports Park, outlasting them all in the Formula Ford 1600.
And he is very, very happy that the race against the clock went his way. They crossed the line with about 54 seconds to go, and it turned out it went the way of Sam Coitert. That was the final lap. He was able to hang on. Halliburton was forced to make the move around the outside so many times that it never worked. And that is the face of a guy who drove absolutely perfect, no mistakes, and he's going to Prodigy Week.
And Sam Coitert, after grabbing 12th in the first iRacing tournament, Racing Prodigy's first ever esports competition, comes back the 2nd time of asking on iRacing and becomes the 3rd Prodigy Pass winner. He will join Gustavo Ariel, fellow member of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup in Atlanta, and they will all compete to be selected in the Prodigy draft. Of course, we've got the physical prizes as well, so Sam's going to grab himself a brand new SimLab X1 Pro Sim Racing cockpit, while unfortunately for Kane Halliburton, no Prodigy Pass for him. He does grab an Aztec Direct Drive wheelbase and the quick release adapter kit to go with it. Tom Katsadonis walks away with the Grid Engineering Porsche 911 GT3 Cup. That's your podium, separated by less than 0.4 of a second at the line. An incredible run to the end. Sam Coitert just holding on and being able to stay out of trouble and make it count when he needed to. Dino Filippo misses out on the podium spot, but was able to work his way up on forward, while Matt Caruana finishes in 5th after charging hard at time and being, as Joey called him, the one-man highlight reel. Ross Banfield in 6th makes up for the final finishing position in the first iRacing final. Peter Beekman 7th also grabbed the final lap of the race, all within 2 seconds, by the way, of your race leader, while Michael Romanidis, Marcelo Penicha, and then Thomas O'Regan round out the top 10. Jeffrey Lund as well was there as he scrolled down to 14th in terms of names. It's just got me tricked on terms of screen. Ewan Baker, Sam Smith, Felipe Loyola in front of him, with Jordan Kelly, Stephen Diem, Henry Moore, Jason Smith, Ciro Sambra, and then Tamas Shimon rounding out the field. We will hopefully grab a quick word with Sam Coitert in a few moments' time as he processes what this will mean to him, as another driver gets an opportunity, Joey, to make their first step on the E2Real pipeline.
It is that first step, could be the first of many. Sam Coitert, a pro driver on iRacing. He has that mythical black box next to his name for drivers who compete in World Championship events. And is it really a surprise that he came out to win this event? Honestly, yes. He was not the driver we looked at as the one who had the most raw pace in this car at this track, but but he was smart, he was conservative when it mattered, he was aggressive when it mattered, and as some of the younger and less experienced drivers fell, Sam Coitert rose, and he is going to be a very, very happy boy here.
Henry Moore will, I think, feel a little bit upset, but I think we are now going to be joined by Sam Coitert. So let's chat with our Prodigy Pass winner. Sam, after being part of the first tournament, you rejoin us for the second one, and this one goes a little bit more in your favor. Talk us through what was a pretty crazy final here today.
Yeah, thank you. Did a bit better as the first race, where Q was just not my thing there, but... yeah, it was chaos. Like, first of all, we ran a rain at group of 4, and that was comfy. You just saw, I don't know what they did behind, but from one lap to the other, they went from 2 seconds to 5 or something. And then when Henry and, I don't know who it was, were fighting up front, the 1P1 just punched up every corner, like when he was defending. So you saw the gap coming closer and closer, and I was already like, towards the end we would have one big train where everyone was going for the fight. But yeah, luckily I could manage to avoid that crash with Kane, and I think it was Thomas up front. I don't know exactly, but or Jason. It was Jason, of course. But yeah, I was lucky there. I think Kane and I after that had damage though, because yeah, the lap times were basically shitter as what it was before. So yeah, then that whole group came closer. I expect that Tom would make a move in one moment to Kane and me, but yeah, he couldn't. I think the only strong corner was for me was the last corner, and it was the most important today.
Apologies to those that were offended by Sam's language, but he's very excited. You just won a Prodigy Pass. You're heading to Prodigy Week at the Atlanta Motorsports Park. I mean, how do you feel right now, Sam? You must have a big smile on your face.
Yeah, it sounds really good. I have to talk with the guys about my height. I mean, I'm 2 meters 1 or 2 around that, so I don't know how that would fit. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It was a long time ago. I've been in. Yeah, like on a track. I've been karting till I was 14, and after that, only been working on tracks instead of driving. So, yeah, looking forward to that. And for my language, it's Dutch. Sorry.
Yes, we can blame it on that. You might be one of the few sim racers who's taller than me. So, Sam, congratulations on that. We'll see if we can fit you into a radical SO1, hopefully in 78 days' time. Sam Coitert, the winner of the third Prodigy Pass, but now Joey Tebbins getting ready to catch up with Kane Halliburton.
Indeed, I am. Kane Halliburton, just an absolutely fantastic battle to the finish there. What more did you need to get by Sam Coitert? You loved that move to the outside in turn 1. What more did you need to make it work?
I just had a little bit of damage on the rear suspension, so the car was a little bit loose. I didn't want to go full send. You know, it's more of a half-hearted attempt. I was happy with P2, really, after that incident.
So you're going home with a few prizes, going home with that Aztec direct drive wheel and the quick release system, and many more chances in the future to potentially get that Prodigy Pass. What would that mean to you to get that pass to go to Prodigy Week in the real world? And how about those prizes as a consolation for second as well?
Yeah, I'll always take some nice prizes. You know, those prizes are really nice. As for the real life racing, you know, I think it's a lot of people's dream to race in real life, including mine, and I didn't have the opportunities, you know, which is exactly what this series is for. So it would have been nice, and maybe I'll try again in the future, but like I said, I'm just grateful for the P2 and those prizes.
Exactly right. The E2 Real Pipeline. Kane Halliburton coming home second here. Arjuna doing a fantastic job, but I believe we've got our third place finisher, Tom Katsadonis, here as well.
I believe it's about 3:30 in the morning for you, Tom. So are you getting ready to go to sleep, or have you woken up specifically for this?
Oh, I've woken up specifically for this, obviously, but it's going to take a bit of an effort to get to sleep after that. I think my blood pressure and my heart rate is pretty spiked at the moment.
Yeah, well, I can imagine you had a pretty intense fight for what was seemingly looking like fifth, but slowly you were able to catch the front, and then final 3 laps. Did you think you had a chance to make a crack at it?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, even when I was 5th and at one point 7th, I knew that if I just stayed within shouting distance of that front pack, anything could happen. Especially the way I saw them weaving down the front straight, I knew it was going to be intense and that there was a lot of jeopardy. So it was always on the cards, and I just kept telling myself, just hit your marks, keep up a decent pace, and I'll end up there. And that's exactly what happened. And who knows if there was a couple more laps. Could have been a different outcome, but today Sam did the job and he deserved the win.
Well, I think you are definitely one that we will be watching on to maybe see how things go in the Prodigy draft, to see what our two judges think about your performances, because they were spectacular in the semi-final and today. Great run, Tom. Congratulations on 3rd, and hopefully we'll see more of you here in the Prodigy Racing League.
Thank you very much.
Tom Katsadonis joins us as we have a quick chat through with our podium winners, all of them walking away with physical prizes, but only one. Sam Coiter is going to the Atlanta Motorsports Park, and just like that, Joey, 3 Prodigy Racing League tournaments are now in the books.
Indeed they are. And for all of you who are wondering, I know I was 2.1 meters. That corresponds to 6'10", 6'11". So Sam Coiter is a very, very big boy. Maybe if he wants a racing career in the real world, might have to look into those leg reduction surgeries, cut a little bit of fibula out there, maybe get himself a little bit shorter. But either way, fantastic racing, fantastic event, and a fantastic and deserving winner in Sam Coiter. And this is not the last event. We've got many more of these coming. It's going to be a happy, happy day for many, many more drivers. And it's a happy birthday for Arjuna, by the way. He hasn't mentioned that once today. I had to get it out there.
I was trying not to, so thanks for that. Follow Racing Prodigy for more. Like we said, the next tournament is already scheduled on Raceroom, racingprodigy.com, to get yourself signed up and to join the fun. We will have all the coverage here again on RaceSpot TV and on Racing Prodigy's YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed and following along there, because that's as well where our Prodigy Search Committee will have their say. For now, though, it is time to wrap things up for everyone behind the scenes at Racing Prodigy and for our broadcast team of Hugo Luis, Juliana Cesar, Camille Moraes, Dane Baird, as well as Joey Tebben alongside myself, Arjuna Kankiparty. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time to hand out the 4th Prodigy Pass, with Sam Coiter joining Lawrence Bertens and Gustavo Ariel in 78 days' time at the Prodigy Week at Atlanta Motorsports Park.